All right, all right. So, like I mentioned before, the goal here is to kind of just get going on some free ways to find deals, and we'll kind of go right now. I'm gonna start here with my presentation and how to find real estate deals for free step by step. All right. Um, Click here. And so, if you remember last time, we kind of want to pick a market, zone in on a market. Of course, as you get going, you can pick a few of these markets. But again, we really like the markets where the first time home buyer price range is around that 350 range. In some markets, you can even go down to 150, right? So 150 to 350, depending on the market. And we want areas with strong rental demand and good rental numbers, right? We want some high rents. And that always helps us when we're selling to hedge funds. So now we're pretty much just going to head on to Zillow and we'll make that happen here. Hopefully that is still viewable for everybody. Can everyone still see the slide? That's not too small? Give me a one if it's okay. If you can still read that. Give me a one in the chat. Great. Great. Maybe some people have to put some glasses on, but that's okay. Boom. Let's go to this. We'll start. Let's go to Zillow. Straight to Zillow. Awesome. All right. Step one. Let's go ahead and put in a market. I'm just going to go with Fort Worth, Texas. All right, so I'm picking Fort Worth. Dallas is, oh, that's the wrong Fort Worth, huh? I'll explain why I'm picking this market in a second. Fort Worth, Texas. Could be spelling this wrong. Spelling this wrong.
Take out the H
Oh,
in fourth.
yes. That's number one there, guys.
Common mistake.
That's just my stuttering sometimes. And now we are, boom. It's team effort here. Thank you. We're gonna come in here. All right, awesome. So we have got to step one, Fort Worth, Texas. The reason why I'm picking Fort Worth is it is a strong rental demand market. As you can see, there's plenty of homes up here for sale, tons of opportunity. The market is doing weird things here as well. It's leveling off. You do have a lot of investors in the market as well, and the hedge funds love this area, right? Fort Worth to Dallas, a lot of business, a lot of things happening, a lot of people moving here, and it's very landlord friendly. So this is an area that we love to look in. I would even say remove boundary. Awesome. All right, so we're just going to literally follow these filters, right? You're going to come over to Zillow. You want to make sure we have for sale, price range. You know, sometimes we can leave this blank for now, so we'll leave this blank. We want to zone in here. Bedrooms 3+, right? Nothing below 3 bedrooms, and then bathrooms 2+. We're going to apply that. So now we know everything in here is going to be a 3-bed, 2-bath minimum. Home type, we want to select all these. We only want single family homes. And these are going to be single family detached homes, right? No townhouses, no condos, no apartment homes. These, townhomes can be considered single family, but we want detached single family properties. So we're going to go ahead and apply that. And then we have some extras here. Scroll down. Boom, boom, boom. And then we kind of want to add in some of this stuff. So minimum 1250. Smallest house we want is 1250. And we kind of want to max out about 3000. If you remember from the last training, once you start getting over that 3000 range, you have, big roofs, you have multiple HVACs. So rehabs just kind of go up big time once you get too big there. And then minimum year build 1970. Awesome. And now we have the last kind of thing we want to hit on here. Keywords. I'm just going to throw in motivated, right? So all the listings that have motivated somewhere in the description. Apply. Nice. So that went from, 5,000 to down to about 121. Now there's no filter for this on Zillow, but we do want to avoid in-ground swimming pools. No in-ground swimming pools. Above ground is okay. Hedge funds will charge to demo those, right? So most of the time I'm like, hey, seller, Can you take that thing out? If not, I'm gonna have to deduct some costs to trash out those above ground pools. But we want to stay away from the in-ground pools. So now you'll see our price range 220, 380. There's a pool. But we have homes like this, right? Boom, boom, boom. So we'll kind of just we'll start somewhere. We see this one is price cut at $38,000. That's a pretty hefty cut, right? So that tells me that was done at the end of last month. And just I'm gonna answer this real quick. There is no filter for no pool on Zillow. There is filter for a house to must have a pool. So if you're searching for yourself and you need a pool, you can click the one that says must have a pool. And I want to say that's probably here just to show you real quick what see must that's the only thing they have must have a pool. So fortunately nothing to say no pool. So let's go here. All right, so this price cut, we're gonna come down. Motivated seller, tons of exclamation points. This charming corner lot, two-story home in a gated community is ready for its new owners. Upon entering the home, you are welcome into the foyer. Blah, blah, blah. HVAC was replaced. So those are notes that we want to kind of keep track of. Those are big ticket items that we can't put in our notes when we're sending to hedge funds. So let's come to this next slide here. So as we're kind of looking through this list again, these are some things that we kind of want to stay aware of, right? Light to moderate repairs, that cosmetic update. Again, maybe new flooring, maybe new countertops, new paint, new light fixtures, right? Quick rehabs. That's what they're all about. Quick to get it rented out as fast as possible. Now you see this one. This one has had a lipstick rehab. It looks like they painted the cabinets. It looks like they put in new countertops. This is probably some old tile, possibly some old wood there. Take some look at the pictures. This is literally what I do, right? So this fireplace, that's old. They didn't do anything there. Maybe did some paint on the mantle. Obviously, these look like new countertops, new appliances, new light fixtures, some old light fixtures as well. This carpet looks new. Doesn't look like they painted this bedroom. And again, the bathrooms, semi-cosmetic updates. Looks like they maybe just painted the vanity stuff. Left the light fixtures, left the mirror, maybe put a new fixture in there. So this one's probably a little bit too updated for us, right? Some of these homes might be a little harder to talk the asking price down on, because they did all this work just to try to get a little bit more out the listing. But as you can see, again, hasn't sold. Could be some reasons for that. But you'll see days on market, right? We're at 54 days here. So not quite 60, but close enough, right? So this is one that I would definitely feel comfortable reaching out to. 54 days on market. And then this next part is pretty big as well, right? Focus on views versus saves, at or less than 10%. And so if we come over here, we have 2,227 views, right? So that's how many people have actually checked out this listing. And out of that many people, just under 10% saved it, 210, right? So that's just competition wise. Also, I can guarantee you this agent is paying attention to that as well, right? Because they want this number to be high compared to the views, right? They want this number to be in the 25% range, 30% range. So this thing is just struggling to get out there to be marketed. Right. And so now the next thing we kind of want to pin down is the rent estimate, right? And so we'll come down here and we can see that rent estimate is about $23.79 a month, right? So that's something to notate. And I think if we look back at our asking price, we're at 327. 327 asking price and a 2,300 or so rent estimate. I might have lost it. Keep going down. I lost it. The rent estimate. There it is. Sorry. All right. So really what we want to do is we want to talk to that, right? That's always a big pointer for us. If we're going to make a phone call to this agent, we really want to say, hey, we're an investor. We're looking to buy this as a rental. The asking price versus the rental yield in the neighborhood is a little off here, right? So that's why we're sending an offer lower than the asking price, right? We want to use that as leverage. But we're going to go back to here. So we're going to see a bunch of properties like that, right? So I'm going to come back to my slides here. We'll go off to our step 4, calculate offer price. So 327, right? We're going to offer 75% of the on-market asking price, right? So if this was 400,000, we would offer 300,000. This is 327,000. So let me get my calculator out. 327. We're going to multiply this by 0.75. That's going to come in at 245, a little over $245,000, right? That is going to be my offer price. And now if you go back and look at the rent again is around that 2,300 mark. That's much closer to that 1% range. Now, of course, it's like, wow, we are cutting this asking by almost $100,000, but we don't care, right? It doesn't matter. Who cares? That's just the beginning of the negotiation stage. So we're at 327,000. We're going to offer $245,000. I think that was, yeah, 245. Now, I do have a note here. Many, if not most, will say no, right? But if they reply, we want to notate that property and send an offer every 3 to 4 weeks, keeping that same rule, right? 75%. So, as this listing goes on, there could be price changes, right? So we want to make sure that we're going back to the listing, seeing if there's any price changes, and we're just going to keep offering 75% of that on-market asking price. Simple as that. Now, this is the next part, right? And this is I think a lot of people in the sub too kind of understand this next part. We're really just shooting out LOIs, letter of intents, emails, what have you. And so we're going to search for the agent contact and email. So typically in the listing, right? So let's come down here, listed by Melody Trest. Here's her number there, her phone number, her real estate number. I am going to copy this, bring it straight to Google. There she is, right? This is our agent. Oh, maybe I've done this one before. And here's her email address. So obviously we want to take down that email address, right? Here's her phone number, so we can kind of see if this phone number matches up with the listing. If not, we definitely want to take that down as well. But we want to make sure that we take down or write down this email address. So we're gonna go back to the listing here. And this is kind of where we go from here. This is the fun part. We're going to send an email to the agent, blind email, right? In the email subject, offer to purchase. And we're going to dump this address right in there. It's literally what I do, right? We're going to dump the address right in there. And then we have, your company name, right? So my company name is Triton REI Group. So I would say offer to purchase 5101 Clarksburg Court, Arlington, Texas, 7601-Triton REI Group. And then I'm going to take her name. And here's a couple different things that you can use, right? And I believe her name was Melody, right? So Melody here, or hi Melody. Melody, I came across your listing on Zillow and wanted to submit an offer. I'm actively acquiring several properties the second part of the year for tax purposes and can move quickly with cash. While my numbers are driven by rent comps and come in below list, my offers are structured to close fast with minimal contingencies and create a smooth process for both you and your seller. That's gonna be the first email. That's gonna be the first paragraph in the email. And here's another one. And so I always want to put it out there, again, I do look to buy properties for my group, right? So I do have the credibility with this specific message, just to put that out there. But here's another one. Hi, Melody. I noticed your listing on Zillow and wanted to see if your seller might be open to an investor offer. I'm looking to pick up a few more properties this quarter and can move quickly with cash. My offer will be below list because of rent comps, but it's designed to save time, reduce uncertainty, and ensure a smooth closing for your seller. Right? So those are just straight first things I put in the email. And then for a lot of people that maybe do not buy homes for themselves, maybe feel a little weird sending something like this, you can work this into the email as well, right? So came across your listing on Zillow. I work on behalf of a few large investors as they look to purchase several properties by the end of the year for tax purposes, right? So you can fit this anywhere within these paragraphs. And hopefully that makes you feel a little more comfortable sending these out. And so, from here, this is right below that paragraph, right? So we're going to say again, Triton REI Group would like to submit an offer to purchase 5101 Clarksburg Court, Arlington, Texas. Purchase price, that's where we're going to have the 240,000. I believe 75% was $240,250. Earnest money, I usually just put $1,000 on everything I send out, $1,000. If the property you know, if I was doing something differently, or if the property was under 100,000, I would do the 1%, right? If it's 90,000, I would put 900. If it was 50,000, I would put 500. Anything over 100,000, I'm just going to put $1,000. Usually that's enough to know that, you know, the agent knows you're serious, right? It's not $10, it's not $100. We put 1,000 there, and then close of escrow on or before, and usually I will send this 30 days from the date of the email, right? So if I was to send this to this agent today, today's the 20th of August, you know, I would make the closing date September 20th. Easy as that. Somewhere in that range, you know, as long as it's not the weekend. We want it to land on a business day. And then due diligence period, this does depend. Usually I go with 5 days. You know, I'll just put 5 there, right? So again, this is literally in my email subject, in the subject line, first paragraph, some type of form of this. You can literally drop one of these messages into ChatGPT and say, hey, make this, you know, a little more agent friendly, or make this friend friendly, or make this more professional, what have you. You know, my assumption is a lot of people will be sending this, and this is what I said. And then again, this goes right after that paragraph. It's our next part of the email. And then move to step 8. So in every email offer I send, I include stipulations in terms, right? So now I do have about 9 of these things. So everyone that sticks to the end, I'll give them all to you. You know, I just want to make sure that, you know, these don't really end up just out in the ether, on the internet. So I had to give Kevin a chance to be able to edit them out, right? So we do have 2 pretty important ones here. Right. So now, if you remember from the last slide, we had due diligence period, and we're going to put a 5 there. Right. So if I come back here, that same 5 is going to go here. Due diligence date shall be 5 days from the date of inspection. Right. I used, this is what I sent. Right. So that means date of inspection shall be defined by the date in which the buyer's inspector is first physically present at the property for initial walkthrough. Right? So if we're sending our inspector, say tomorrow, our due diligence starts the day after tomorrow for 5 days. Sometimes, you know, that inspection will be 3 days from now, 4 days from now, right? But those 5 days don't start until the date after inspection. You know, so that gives us ample amount of time, that doesn't rush things for us, and that gives us an opportunity to work with hedge funds now, to send them stuff, send them numbers. And now here's another important one. Buyer is purchasing with the intent to lease this property. If HOA/POA or other leasing restrictions are revealed, or the HOA or its agents representatives reject this purchase, buyer may terminate this agreement at any time and without penalty, and will be entitled to return of earnest money. Right. So what will happen, and the reason why we put this on every agreement is, you know, you'll be talking to real estate agents, and they'll say, oh, hey, no problem. There's no, you know, yes, there's an HOA, but there's no rental restrictions that you have to worry about. And then sometimes we'll just be working quickly. Okay, no problem. Great. That's awesome. Get it under contract. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're past your due diligence time frame, and you know, and you figure out, oh shoot, no rentals are allowed in this neighborhood. Or something along the lines of, only 25% of the properties in this neighborhood can be rented at one time. That's a big no-no for us, right? So that is just to protect us in case something like that pops up. And I can guarantee you the hedge funds will be looking into this. They do not take chances. Again, so these are 2 of the 9 important situations that I include in every offer. Okay, so if we go back to this, and so I would also say, you know, we have the email of the agent. We have this phone number. This phone number matches this phone number. So my assumption is that's not her direct phone number, right? But if we go back to where we research her, this is a different phone number. My assumption is this is her direct phone number. That's why we always notate all contact information we can. Looks like she has a little website here. I would probably go there. You know, if she has other properties, send her offers on all her properties. But this number is probably the number that we want to contact to get to her directly. You know, so that's a good option. See if we can find one that maybe is a little more up. That has an in-ground pool. That is a no-go. But this style, right? This style does tell us if this pool was not here, this would probably be a great one to send an offer on, right? You can tell the outside is a little dilapidated. It can use a paint job. It can use some spruce up, new mailbox. You know, the backyard is in good shape. It's a cheap kind of turnover if there was no pool. So this one doesn't work. Looks like they may have put some new flooring in. Oof. Um, kitchen's in good shape. So all this stuff's in good shape. You can just tell you're not walking into 2025, right? This is you're walking into um, early 2000s with some new flooring. Definitely could use a paint job. You can see it has some of that old popcorn ceiling, old bathrooms. So you can talk to all of this about all of this if this agent contacts us back after sending our offer email, right? So these are all great things. Unfortunately, that's not going to work because it does have a pool. Let's try to find a good one here. So this one, 17, built in 1990. Here we go. That's a great one. This is one I would definitely look to reach out to. So let's see if we can. Actually, you know what? Hey, put a one in the chat if you want me to call these people. I will. If we get enough ones in the chat, I will just make this phone call right now and see what happens. Oh yeah, we're getting some ones, and we got good old Kev. All right, so let's make sure this does not have a pool. We're getting all the ones now. People are awake now. That's what I'm talking about. As asked for you to start summary. Don't know what that means. Hopefully I didn't do anything bad. All right, so let's see how long. 82 days. So this fits our parameters, right? So let's go back up to our parameters here. Okay. Let's see. We got 3 bed, 3 bath, 2,200 square feet. Great rental. Outside looks very nice. Not much to do out there. 1990. Good there. Improved price, right? So this would be another keyword that we can research, right? Motivated seller, motivated sellers, bring all reasonable offers. So then a lot of times, reasonable offers is a great one, great keyword to kind of hone in on. Let's see, welcome to your dream home in the heart of, okay, now you can see this is probably all chat GPT stuff, blah, blah, blah. We want to see if there's anything in here that we can talk to on the phone. Welcome to dream home. Talked at the end of a peaceful cul-de-sac, step inside a freshly brand new carpet and print. So this is all good stuff. You know, now that we know awful storage won't be an issue, open concept kitchen, stainless steel appliances, and even features a sleek wine rack, showstopper, a pool-sized backyard. I'm assuming that means there's no pool. Oh, this is what I love. Please no low ball offers. Well, too bad. Too bad, Ken. You're gonna get one. So those are able to move with serious buyers. Let this Arlington gem be the one that checks all your boxes. Okay. Look at these pictures again. Light fixtures, kitchen's old, laundry room's old, cabinets probably just painted over. Appliances are good though, so it's very rent ready. You know, this is always fun, right? On this, it looks like they probably had some cracked tiles and maybe just threw in some random colored tiles. That's fun. Some new light fixtures. Boom, boom, boom. Shower looks like they may have done something here. Oof. Not sure what's going on there. New carpet. Bathrooms have not been touched. Light fixtures. New carpet like they mentioned. Got probably some old stuff here. And yeah, probably didn't do too much on the outside. All right. Let's go down to the contacts. We got Kim Walker. As you can see again, this phone number is the same as this phone number, so it could be a brokerage phone number. So let's see if we can find her direct number. Kim Walker. There's oh, cell phone. Let's go. Gotcha, Kimmy. Okay, now we also want to look at rent in the neighborhood. So we have rent at 2269. We have Zestimate at 308, and we have asking at 308 pretty much. So we're gonna take 308 times 0.7. 231. 231 is our number. That's our 75% mark on this one. And just so you know, typically if I'm making a phone call like this, you know, I do try to establish rapport. I do try to, you know, go back and forth with the agent on this. But as Kevin knows and Kevin has seen, those phone calls could end up being 40, 45 minutes, an hour sometimes. So I'm gonna try to get all that done here in 10 minutes. We'll see. But let's give her a call. So 231 is my number. I got to remember that. Cell phone number. 1-817-637-1607. I do want to do one more thing just to make sure we are not getting fooled here by Zillow. I'm going to check the Zillow rent estimator calculator. So this is a great source, right? I'm gonna grab the address. Again, this is free resource as well. It's gonna pop up here. I'm gonna continue. It's gonna give us that 2369 again. And I'm gonna come down and make sure that just makes sense, right? And so now you can actually see 2300 there. This one's at 2700. 2000. That one does help me out there. This one's at 2700. I want to avoid talking about that one. This 2300. It's a good one to pin right here. So 3.2, a little smaller. That's okay. We have a couple more here in the 2300 range. We're gonna go with that. All right. And just I saw this Tony Martin. So is this in this example, you are sending an LOI for purchase and within the time frame illustrated earlier. So typically I would send an LOI, but I'm just gonna call this one right now. We just want to get on the phone call and this would be, if I were to send an LOI in the beginning, I would send a bunch out and we'd get some replies. Maybe some replies are call me, maybe some replies are no way, get out of here. Maybe some replies are, I'll give this to the seller, what have you. At that time, if you have someone that's like, hey, can you do a little bit more, what have you, then I would be hopping on the phone and calling them, and just kind of trying to knock down, a little negotiation to see where they end up at. Um, you know, but for time's sake, or for just to kind of show how this goes, sometimes I'm just going to call this person out of the blue and hopefully they answer. Kim Walker. Hopefully y'all can hear this and it's not too distorted.
Hello, and thanks for calling the Walker Lane Group, your trusted real estate advisor.
She's getting called again.
Hello, and thanks for calling the Walker Lane Group, your trusted real estate advisor. Currently, we're unavailable to take your call, so please leave your name, a contact number, repeating the number twice, and a brief message regarding the purpose of your call, and someone from our team will get right back to you. If you've called outside of our business hours, then we look forward to connecting with you on the next business day. Our business hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Our offices are closed on Sunday. We can't wait to help you consider it sold or simply say yes to your new address. Chat soon. Bye for now.
Hey, Kim, my name is James. I came across your listing on 1019 West Lovers Lane. I buy a few rentals in the area, so I just came across yours and wanted to see if you are open to having a conversation. You can reach me at 901-587-0112. Again, that is James, 901-587-0112. Thank you, Kim. See if she calls back. I think there was another number here that we can call as well. Yeah, little work phone number. 1-469-454-8017.
Calling the Walkerland Group, brokered by J Parr. We're currently assisting another.
All right, well, maybe she'll call us back. Let's find one more. Let's see. So again, that was definitely a good one. A lot of these are looking a little newer. This one is looking in good shape. This one has a pool. Let's see if we can zone in on one that makes sense. 484. So that one is gonna be a little too high for us. We don't want to touch that. Check this one out. This might be a good option. Yeah, this is actually a great option. You can see that you haven't, old appliances, old kitchen. Usually the way that I kind of talk about something like this is, it looks like I'm walking into 1995, right? So my goal is to make it so when I present this to a renter, it's like walking into 2025, right? Whatever that means, right? That means new kitchen, new countertops. Maybe you just paint the kitchen with new countertops, new appliances. Would I do all that? Probably not, but they don't know that, so it's okay. Um, paint is fine. Bathrooms are old, right? Those can definitely use a turnover. We can talk to all that stuff. This has to get painted for sure. New light fixtures. This bathroom looks like they've done a little work there. Backyard, easy backyard. This fence, right? Fences are expensive, so we can talk to that. Hey, that is how is that fence looking? And a lot of times I'm just presenting these issues to the agent, not as like, hey, I'm taking money from this and that. It's more so like have her talk or have him talk about it. Hey, that fence, did you see that fence? Like, do you notice that fence in good working order? If I do end up buying this, we do rent to a lot of families with children. So we just need to make sure that the property is safe. Do you know if that fence is, is it in good order? Is it fixed up correctly? Is it falling over? Is it in good shape? All that stuff. You can see some sections of it have probably been fixed. Yeah, see this section has been fixed up. You can see there's still a lot of old fencing. And so oh man, that fencing is expensive. I'm sure you know. But again, let's go ahead and look at this. I mean, maybe no, I don't think it's been painted either. So 292, still above Zestimate. Let's see, 1986, that fits. 3 bed, 3 bath, 1,700 square feet. Great rental size. It's been on market for 6 days. For this, since this is such a good, easy turnover property, this is probably one I would still send an offer on. Charming corner lot home in sought after South Arlington, situated on a spacious lot. This property offers a functional and inviting layout featuring one large living area, 2 dining areas, and a cozy brick wood burning fireplace. The kitchen and dining spaces flow seamlessly for entertaining and everyday living. Upstairs, you'll find all bedrooms, including a generous primary suite with a garden tub, separate shower, walk-in closet. Utility room is conveniently located in its own dedicated space. With ample yard space and a prime location near shopping, dining, and schools, this home is ready for your personal touch. Sellers are motivated. So one thing I do not see on this listing is anything to do with new carpet, new paint, new flooring, new appliances, new roof, new HVAC. So now that we start talking about that kind of stuff, now they know we're serious. Let's gonna scroll down. We want to see, so that rent is 2330, kind of same as the last property. So we can get close to that 1% rule, possibly 292. 75%. 219. Let's make it 220. So we're gonna offer 220 on this thing. Boom. Let's go find the agent. So this is a different number than they have here. So usually that tells me that's not just the office number. This might be their direct number, but either way, we're gonna go search her. John Gray. Boom, boom, contact. Could send her something there. Go, there she is. She has her own website, phone number, mobile. So there it is. 682-682. All right, so we know that's the cell number, hopefully directly to her. So we can maybe get an email address somewhere. This might be her personal, Tanika. Not her. Boom. See her email here. Obviously, if you use things like PropStream or Privy, typically all those will have like MLS details. The emails are always there in the details, but again, I want to, do this on the free side, and so I'm trying to find it here if I can, but I'm not seeing it. But I can guarantee you would find it somewhere. It'd be somewhere around here. But to start, just give her a phone call and see what happens. 6 days, and we can see already that 460, 476, 32, so that's under 10%. That hits a couple more markers. 6 days, a little early, but we're here, so let's do it. 682, 622, 1244. I'm gonna assume that is Neela.
It's been forwarded to an automatic voicemail.
That was a little too quick. I think she might have called her again.
Hello.
Hi, is this Neela?
Yes.
Neela, how are you doing? My name is James. I came across this property on Rocky Point Drive in Arlington.
Hey, how you doing, James?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right.
Awesome. Is now a bad time for you?
No, sir. How can I help you?
Yeah, so I am an investor and I look for homes that I can purchase to rent. And so, came across this one. Obviously, I think right now it's kind of in a good rental condition. Um, is it vacant currently or are people living in it?
Someone is living there.
Okay, is it a tenant or is it the owner?
The owner.
The owner. Okay, okay. And so, let me ask, will it be fully vacant at closing? Do you know?
Yes. What do you mean? Would it be fully?
Like, it's like some people may need a few days after closing to get the funds to maybe, buy a new property or what have you. So I'm just wondering if they will actually be out of the property when we're closing on it, day of closing.
Yes, sir. They'll be out.
Gotcha. All right. All right. So let me check this out. Question for, I don't see anything in the listing. Do you have anything like on the roof and HVAC, the kind of age and condition?
I did get the roof checked, so we have
Uh,
some professional opinions in reference to that. The
Okay.
foundation was came back fine, and
Okay.
we're having it painted, scraped and painted now. Of course, the rain stopped it from happening, but it should be done by this Saturday before the open house.
Okay. And the open house is on Saturday?
Yes.
Gotcha. What color are they painting it?
I can send you a picture.
Yeah. Are they painting the inside or just outside?
No, just the outside, with the curb appeal.
Okay. Do you know, are they doing anything else to it other than painting the exterior?
I mean, we're getting rid of the wood rods.
Okay. Okay.
So are you an end buyer or what? Are you?
Yeah, so I do buy for myself, but I also do work with a pretty good group of large investors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it really just depends. Typically, I look for myself first, and then if it doesn't work for me, I have some close buddies that might want to take a look at it.
Try to keep that out.
292. And let me ask you one question. If I were to flip this thing, how much do you? Yeah, yeah, no problem. No problem. We are on hold. All right. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to establish a top market price for this home, right? So if I were to flip this, what do you think it would sell for? And then I could start working backwards from there. That's kind of where I'm headed with this conversation. ARV, exactly. Even though it does not matter, right? We're not going to flip it. But if I'm going to flip it, what do you think it would sell for, right? Because if now the asking price is too close to that ARV, I can agree with her on the ARV, but then I can not agree with her on the asking price. And that's the kind of goal here. Come on.
Okay, hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Go ahead.
Okay, so looking at this property, do you know what the ARV is here by chance?
Um,
And by that, do you know if I were to, okay,
give me a second.
No,
I
no
had to
problem.
think about which one you was talking about.
No
So
problem.
I'm not sure.
yeah,
I don't know. I have it in front of me. I mean, well, I can pull it up real quick.
no problem. And just so you know, I've been calling a few people today, so I'm trying to get a few things before year end for some tax purposes myself. And I do kind of pinpoint on homes that are in this condition just because it allows me to kind of do the updating I want, right? So that's kind of why I'm calling you, is it kind of fits perfectly for what I do.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm not gonna sometimes I will decide to fix and flip it, but this to me is kind of more positioned as a rental and kind of a slightly cheaper update to say, kind of more just like cosmetic update. Uh, do you know when they're planning on replacing that wood rot?
It's being done with the paint.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's a good thing.
305.
Okay, so we have an ARV of 305.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 290, 292. Give me just a second. Let me plug in a couple of numbers here. 305. 305. Let me just, yeah. So I think that's kind of what I'm seeing as well. Maybe a little bit more, 310-ish.
It might be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um,
But the market is just not
that's scary.
great. So,
And
yeah.
I'm okay with paying a little bit extra. Because the main thing here is for tax purposes, and so for me, I just need a depreciation on it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I can't lose money though. That's the one thing that I want to avoid is losing money. And just so you know, the way that I work is I will buy a few properties in cash. Then on the back end, I will go get one lump sum loan to pull my cash back out and kind of recycle and keep buying, right? So when I'm running numbers, I do have to keep that in mind because I will get a loan on it eventually. 290.
What do you buy at 75, 85%?
Around, yeah, it really depends more so on the rental in the area. I just need to make sure that I can, once I get that loan, I can cash flow about 20%.
Mm.
Right. And so that's kind of the tough thing in Dallas Fort Worth. So actually,
Mm-hmm.
I've been buying in Austin a lot, but I've had to get out of Austin because it's so damn expensive. And so Austin, Texas?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Oh my goodness, it's California now. So
Stop it.
it's just it is crazy, crazy. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm looking all over Fort Worth, Dallas, because I could find stuff in this price range.
Oh, you're a licensed realtor or no? Just an
No,
investor.
just an investor. I, made a little money in business, and so I try to shelter my tax through real estate, and that's why I'm here calling you on the phone.
Perfect.
And so I think this thing's renting in the 2,300 range, I would say 22 to 2,400. And oh man, they're not planning on doing anything inside, huh?
And no.
And they're asking
Nope.
292.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just an asking price coming from them, or is that something that you two settled on?
That's coming from them.
I expected that. Oh man. Okay, so this is literally what I do, right? This is how I present my offer. To me, it's over 1,700 square feet at 20, $30. I mean, I'm looking at probably about a $40,000 update because of this kitchen. It's pretty old and it's not going to get me good enough rent. So I would have to update the kitchen, new appliances. The fridge looks fine. Hopefully that's in good working order. And
It would take about 40,000 to renovate.
yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. So I'm including that for the whole thing, right? So I'm talking about painting the whole inside. I'm talking about updating the bathrooms. I think you may have had one bathroom that looked nice. So the master bathroom I would definitely update, and that could include just painting the cabinets, but that's definitely be new countertops, new lighting fixtures, new mirrors, the whole thing, new flooring. I'll probably have to either replace or paint the doors, the interior doors. The bedrooms have to be painted, light fixtures. Usually I will scrape the ceilings with the popcorn, so that means I have to retexture and paint and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one kind of big ticket item here is the fence, because I'm seeing some of the fences replaced and some of it is not. Do you know the condition of that fence by chance?
for wear and tear. It was the same way when they purchased it. They didn't do any upgrades to it.
The only thing is, I mean, that could, if I had to replace that fence, we're looking at $10,000 just for that, if not more.
Mm.
Oh man, 292. At 2,300, 10%. They are painting it, which that'll save me maybe was it $5 grand for the paint job on the outside?
Yeah, roughly about.
Okay. I'd probably take down these. They're not going to take down the hedges, huh? They're going to leave those up.
Correct.
Okay. 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 Well, you're probably going to hate me here now, but I would probably have to be in the 230 range. 230, because that's 230 plus 40 to 50. That's without market conditions coming down at all. Oh my goodness. Do they know that they're kind of highballing their asking price, or is that do they? Okay, good. Maybe they won't hate me as much as I thought they'd hate me. Um, and they're probably not. If I send you an offer, do you think they would entertain it?
You know, sir.
Yeah, and you said they have a walkthrough on Saturday.
We have an open house on Saturday. Yes.
Open house on Saturday. It's only been on market for 6 days, huh?
Mhm.
Oh man, this market is tough. Well, how about this? Can you can I'm gonna look at this a little bit more. Um, is there an email address I could take down?
Oh, yes, I can text it to you.
That'd be awesome. You can text it straight to this number.
We'll do.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. We'll kind of see how the open house goes, and maybe we can reconvene on a phone call.
Good means.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nila.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, bye. All right. Sorry, that went a little longer than I wanted to, but so the goal of that phone call is to get her to say no to my asking price. That is, and I'm actually getting a call from an agent right now that I'm dealing on a house with, but I'll call her back after. Hey Kevin, how deep are we into this conversation right now, or into this presentation? So we're good. We have a few more minutes. Okay. All right. So got that. Just so y'all know, that is my typical. Call her and give her 150. That would be great. So I'm gonna have Kevin call her, offer her 150, so she knows that my offer is the best offer she's gonna get. Now, no way she gets 292 for this house. I think she knows that. My offer is just to pin it very, very low. My goal, and I think I might even said the wrong number there. I think I was supposed to be 220 or something like that, but I said 230. My goal is to get her to say no to my offer. That literally is my goal. So then when I do call back after, say, her little get together on Saturday, her little open house on Saturday, then I can kind of work up from my number rather than work down from her number. Okay, great. Maybe I was right, Monica. Thank you. Right. So that's my goal here is to really pin her. I want her to hate me. I truly want her to hate my offer. And that's why I say, hey, you are going to hate me. And that kind of lets them know they're not going to like what's coming. I give them a really, really low offer to kind of counterbalance their high ball asking. And so she knew that asking's high. My assumption is if someone's going to live in this house, they might pay 250, 260 for it. A hedge fund would probably be in that range, right? 250 to 260. So my goal is to try to get her in a contract at about 240, 240, 245, have, $15,000, $20,000 spread between me and the hedge fund and kind of go from there. If I have to kind of keep bumping up, the way that I bump up is I really, really get down to grimy numbers is what I like to call them. So my first offer, 230. My second offer is going to be 236, 400, or 238, 400. And then my final offer is going to be 251, 754 and 60 cents, right? And I'm just going to play that game. I'm going to say, hey, I'm giving you every penny I have for this property. That's all I have. And now they know that there's nowhere really for them to negotiate at that point. And hopefully, that triggers something in their mind to say, hey, the seller's open to that because you're trying so hard, right? That's the goal. So now I think we're kind of running out of time here. So I do want to open this up to Q&A. And what I will do is I'm sure, if you have questions, go ahead and start dumping them in the chat. I'm going to kind of go up to the start and see if, any of these answers were not, or any of these questions were not answered throughout. Again, next week's going to be part 2. So this is part 1, right? This is all about going on Zillow, finding these properties to just send LOIs on. That phone call was just an example phone call of what I would make after an agent maybe says, hey, give me a call, or hey, this is something maybe we'll entertain, or hey, can you do any better? Then I would make that phone call I just made. Of course, it'd be a little less introduction, things of that sort. So let's see. We'll start to see if we come across any questions. Hopefully all of this information is helpful. You can see the slide, 2 screens, one, it's small. Okay, Michael Foster, do they not buy townhomes? There's a lot of hedge fund owned townhomes where I'm at. This is in California though. So it depends. And I usually just stay away from townhomes. There's plenty of single family out there. Townhomes will work for a very small subset of hedge funds, but it's a slightly different game when you start getting into them. So we just avoid those for now. Monica McGee, how about HOAs? Yeah, so HOAs are okay, although we want to avoid HOAs with heavy rental restrictions, right? Rental restrictions right away that do not work. If an HOA has to approve a renter, that does not work. If an HOA, obviously some HOAs just don't allow rentals, that obviously doesn't work. Some HOAs, only allow a certain percentage of the homes in the HOA to be rentals, right? 20%, 30%, 50% of the homes in the neighborhood can be rentals. And HOAs are very strict when they have those type of rules in place. Those do not work for hedge funds. So those are kind of the main ones. We just want to make sure that we can have a 12-year lease or longer. Josh, with such great info, James. Thank you, thank you. Let's see, we got some conversations in here. Can you go back to the email one last time? That was a while ago. So I'll just, there, that is, that's just kind of the first paragraph we put in there. Oh, someone posted it, I'm late to the game. 11111 phone calls. Yay, 69. Kevin. Right. I don't want to miss anything here. Will we be able to get a copy of these slides, of these step-by-step slides? Yes. So, well, typically we'll just have this recording on my YouTube, probably even my Facebook, where Kevin decides to post it. Like the last Zoom, it was posted on my YouTube. This one will be posted on my YouTube as well. It's just James Mossholder Real Estate. And then from there, you obviously would just play the video and you can pause as needed to go over the slides. Up, mess this thing up. I'm taking notes. Thank you, Michael Foster. You're the man. At the end of Zoom, if I make a copy, thanks, Michael. Michael's doing it for the team. Not a boy, Michael. Okay, Tony Martin. So in this example, you're sending LOI for purchase and within the time frame illustrated earlier. Perfect. Yeah. So again, that phone call was just so you guys can get some nuggets if you do happen to end up on a phone call with an agent. That's kind of how I break down agents on phone calls, right? I would use maybe rental comps, other houses in the neighborhood. She kind of gave me the information right away. 305 ARV, she's asking 292. She knows it's overpriced. I know it's overpriced. Seller knows it's overpriced. I want to make sure everyone knows that before I kind of start breaking her down. So that being said, we're just sending LOIs. Popcorn ceilings, yuck. You are right. Are you saying blast out LOIs versus calling each listing? I am saying blast out LOIs, definitely. Agents don't answer. That is right. Barrier of entry for being an agent can be very low sometimes. And make sure you get good agents. Thank you, Joshua. No, let's call her. Yeah, so everyone go ahead and call her, offer her 150, and then maybe she'll be calling me today. Who knows? 230. I'm confused. Is 230 the max offer? So 230 would be the starting point. So Joshua Jones, I'm confused. Is 230 the max offer or starting point? So 230 is my low starting point, right? I want to, maybe she says yes, but I understand she's most likely going to say no. But what I do is I explain why my offer is at 230, right? And there's so many ways to explain that, including using rental yields in the neighborhood, using purchase comps, rental comps, using the condition of the property itself. now we have a understanding of why I'm offering this, and then I can start to creep up my offer and hopefully creep down her offer, and just keep at it. Hate to be like this, but I have to hop off. No problem. How do we JV with you? That is a great question. Boom, I forgot about this slide. Sorry, y'all. So this is usually what I'll put out there. Submit a deal, deals@TritonREIGroup.com. So this is kind of what I give people. Go ahead and take a picture of this. This is what we asked for, the Zillow link, the asking price, and offer price sent to agent. Again, this is all coming, these parts are coming from your initial kind of LOI or what have you. And then, oftentimes we'll get an email back from the agent, or the agent will just straight up call you. And obviously we want to see any notes about that conversation. And then the next part of the conversation is, hey, let me get my partner involved. He's really the one that kind of runs numbers and gets down to the contract specifics and all that good stuff. That would be me. And that's when we start the JV process, right? Now to start, some people are comfortable just, I don't go around people. But to start, if you want to send me a JV agreement, or if you want me to send you a JV agreement because you have a deal at some point, you can just go ahead and send that to that email address. You can just say, a deal, want to sign a JV agreement, what have you, and then in the subject say, hey James, I'm working on a deal with an agent on market. Here's my JV agreement, or hey, can you send me a JV agreement? We get that thing signed and kind of go from there. Hopefully that makes sense. Yoseo Perdomo, why is it we focus on views and not saves again on Zillow? Why is it we focus on views and so we focus on both of those things, right? Because it's very almost like an equation, right? So we want to look at the views versus the saves. As you can see, this has 476 views. A good listing should have probably about 100 saves here. Like a really good listing, a good priced home would have 100 saves. So now we know, hey, maybe that agent is getting a bunch of offers. Maybe they're getting, it's, may not be worth our time. Maybe, some LOI regardless. But, when we are honing in on properties and we see a low rate like this, right? This is, under 10%. This is 8, 9%, somewhere in there, I'm assuming, right? That's what we're focusing on. We're focusing on the views versus saves to kind of get that equation. We sending LOIs on behalf of Triton. So no, I would say you want to send these on behalf of your own company. Now, what you would say in essence when you get on the phone is hey, I work closely with my partner James at Triton. We work to buy properties together. I find him properties, but we buy these together. So then you can kind of introduce me down the line, or I can introduce myself down the line and say like, hey, yeah, we work together, do our thing together, what have you. But you really want to say, you're looking on your own behalf. Or, in instance, when we go to this email, we have this part in there. I work on behalf of a few large investors as they look to purchase. So if you put that in there, then you can say, hey, I'm looking on behalf of Triton REI Group. So we send an LOI. And what about EMD? All right. So like again, typically I'm just going to put $1,000 as the EMD. And so, this is all going to work itself out in essence, right? So we're going to send that LOI to the agent. The agent's going to get back to us if they like the offer, right? Then we get in touch right away with me. And then I can then go ahead and kind of work down the line with the agent. EMD, I can supply that, not a problem. Usually though, I always put $1,000, 1,000 EMD. If we have never done a deal with you, work with us and JV on. If we have never done a deal, comma, will you work with us and JV on a deal? Yeah, no problem. That's we'll go back to here, just throw it all in there, and we can definitely work together. So basically what we are doing in here is we are looking for properties that would match our hedge funds buy box. That is correct. So, the buy box is kind of, if we go back up here, that's what we're going to be plugging into Zillow, right? This is really the buy box right here. 1970 plus, 3.2 minimum, 1250 square feet minimum, right? That's our buy box. We want to max this out at 3,000. We don't want anything over 3,000, but that's our buy box. Now, max purchase prices do change per market, but we want to stay in that first time home buyer range, right? So in a place like Fort Worth, we want to probably stay under 350. We want to be somewhere in the 2 to 350 range for that specific market. Probably same thing for Dallas. Maybe stretch it to 375. Hilton. So it's basically assigning the contract to the hedge funds. Yes, when we get to that point, we will be assigning or double closing, depending on the hedge fund. We can do either, but that's the goal here is we are farming for deals that we can assign or double close to hedge funds. Edgar Arellano. So if we send an LOI and agent respond they're interested, would we send it over to you or do we make the call? I'm fairly new. So yeah, if you're fairly new and not comfortable, definitely get me involved and we can obviously talk about how payouts work and all that stuff. And then I can kind of handle it. Obviously, you can be involved, kind of like how we just did that conversation. You can be involved in the conversation, so you kind of hear how it goes. You'll be on the emails, things of that sort. So we'll work tightly together on any deal that we're working on together. I'm fairly new, so how much about ARV? And so we don't worry about ARV, right? We're sending LOIs. It's just 75% of the asking price. That's why we want to make it easy for a lot of people that are just getting into this game, right? We just 75% of the asking price. We just want to make it simple like that. Jorge, so if the agent agrees to our price, do we reach out to you? Yep, reach out to me. You have my email, just reach out straight to my email. And then from there, I'll share my phone number as well. And so if as we're working through the deal, we can text about it, call about it, email about it, all that good stuff. What's the YouTube? So I'm gonna put, it literally is, oh man, I'm in the way here. All right, you want to throw my, Kevin? Kevin is sleeping, everybody. Kevin is literally sleeping.
No,
Let me,
no, dude.
oh man.
Oh,
Classic Kev.
dude,
I'm James Mossholder. Okay, welcome to calm that down. So I'm just gonna grab here. I'm gonna throw this in the chat, but this is my YouTube channel. Everyone says it, like, subscribe, do all that stuff if you want. So Kevin knows all the work he's putting in is helping. Oh, first one to ask. Ash Atkinson. Great question. What are the other 7 stipulations? Here they are. All right, so let's make this a little bigger for everyone. Right, so these are pretty important here. Right, so remaining stipulations. So buyer will not pay back due fees, violation fees, liens, or outstanding HOA fees, right? So this just makes sure that any liens on the property, agent knows that is coming out of the seller proceeds. We will not, unless we decide on something later in the deal or it is brought up specifically to us, we do not want to be responsible for any outstanding fees. Not us. Buyer reserves the right to terminate at any time and without penalty if the property is located in a historic district and or flood zone, right? Now, there are websites out there that you can check every address, and usually I do, but I just put this here just to make sure, and it gives me that out. Historic district, hedge funds do not buy in historic districts for many reasons. Flood zones, they do not buy in flood zones, obviously. Those can be dangerous areas. Escrow money deposit period and inspection period are standard business days. Hedge funds only work business days, so we only work business days. If escrow deposit deadline or inspection deadline falls on a weekday or holiday, it shall be considered due the following business, if not a holiday. So this really gives us some extra time too, right? So if we get the property under contract on a Thursday, and we're giving ourselves 3, 4, 5 days to put EMD in, well, they're standard business days. So we have the whole weekend to kind of figure stuff out, talk about the deal, a few days the next day. And then hopefully before EMD is even due, we already have an offer price from the hedge fund. That's kind of one of the main goals, right? Before the EMD is due, we have an offer price from the hedge fund so that we know if like, hey, we're in the ballpark or we might need to get out of this thing. This is a big one, right? Contract assumes access will be granted to property. If access is denied, inspection deadline due diligence day will automatically be extended by 5 days from the original deadline date. Right, that just gives us an extra time just in case. This is a big one. No lease will be signed or renewed during this contract period. Right, we don't want any sellers sneaking that in there and setting us up for failure. This is a big one. As a real estate investment group, we retain the discretion to assign properties as deemed appropriate. Right, so we want to include that on everything that we send. Right, and all these terms, we're telling the agent, we want these copied and pasted onto the contract. Right, these are going to be on the contract and these will supersede, in some states, say like Tennessee, there is a box where you can literally mark assignments not allowed. this will supersede that. In the event of buyer default, sole remedy shall be the earnest money deposit. That's very important. Now, we don't even want to have to flirt with that, but sometimes things happen, right? So in the event of buyer default, sole remedy shall be the earnest money deposit. And then the company name, usually I would say Triton REI Group, to perform a walkthrough day before closing to confirm vacancy, right? So a lot of these properties are tenant occupied. A lot of investors live out of state, so they're kind of, depending on the real estate agent or the property management company or somebody to make sure that it's vacant. Um, right? So we want to make sure that we can perform a walkthrough day before closing to confirm vacancy. And so the agent knows that's coming up. Seller should know that's coming up. We want to confirm. And then typically what I would say also here is, if property is not vacant, buyer has the right to extend closing date, for 7 business days or 10 business days or what have you. Right. So that's just kind of another thing to protect ourselves. How can we reach you on Facebook? My name is James Mossholder. You can just research me by James Mossholder on Facebook. Boom, boom, boom. If the house is listed for sale at 300,000 times 0.05 equals, I think we are, so you never walk the property, you pay for the inspection, and go off of the results to either proceed or not proceed. All right, so now we're getting into week 2. Week 2 is what happens when we are under contract. What are the next steps, right? We're getting a little ahead of ourselves right here, but this equation, Monica, this equation is incorrect, right? Because we are offering 75% of the asking price. So if the asking price is 300,000, we want to offer 75% of 300,000. So we're going to take 300,000 and multiply that by 0.75, and that's going to give us 225, right? So this should be 225 for the LOI offer. And then just to put it out there, we do not walk the property. That is, we never walk the property. The hedge fund is going to send their inspection team to walk the property, right? If you're not in the state of the property, who's doing the walkthrough the day before. And again, this can change, right? It depends. Some hedge funds want to walk the property. Some hedge funds just want pictures to confirm vacancy. So then a lot of times I'll say, hey, agent, I don't actually need to walk the property, but can you send me pictures to confirm? I want pictures of every bedroom, of the living room, of the kitchen, of the garage, of the front of the house, and of the back of the house, right? The backyard, side yards, right? We want to understand that they're not throwing trash in some corner of the house. They're not, taking all the furniture and putting it on the sidewalk for us to deal with or for the hedge fund to deal with. We want to make sure that, they're setting us up for success and leaving that stuff fully vacant. All right. So, do we prefer video? So we actually prefer video. Photos, right? Photos. Everyone, it's easy. Usually I'll just have a Google link and drop all the photos in that Google link for the property, and then we send that off to the hedge fund. No, not an issue. And usually it's 15 pictures is usually good enough. Just all the living spaces and all that good stuff. Mark. Oh, this might have been answered, but what other states in Texas are hedge funds looking in? They look in the Carolinas, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Arizona, Ohio, Indiana, in the major markets in those, right? So Indianapolis, Indiana, Cleveland, Ohio, Texas, so Houston, Texas, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth. They're not really in Austin right now. Austin's too expensive. All around Phoenix, Arizona, all the kind of cities around there. I typically say anywhere within a 60-mile radius of your major metro markets. Moshe sent you an off-market lead to the email. Awesome. I will definitely check that out and get back to you. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of work after this, so it might be a few hours. Monica, thank you for that. Glad you, hopefully everyone enjoyed it. I have realtors who send me their personal off-market turnkey leads every once in a while. How would we calculate an offer for off-market then? So usually you always want to ask them to provide an asking price, right? You never want to be the first one to offer an asking price. So if it's off-market, we want to ask something along the lines of, hey, what are they trying to get for this? What were they asking for this? When it's off-market, we deal with those a little bit differently. So, if you want to get me involved in those, what you can do is you can literally just send that deal to me, notate that it's off-market. You can send me the asking price of the off market. And then we can kind of work that from start to finish that way. It's a little different with on market, right? Because we're competing with that on market price in essence. And hedge funds see the on market price, so we want to make sure that we're getting them some type of discount, and they want to make sure that the rental comps and everything makes sense for them. Will it work if I'm a bird dog getting deals from wholesalers? I mean, JVing with you without making daisy chain. So getting deals from other wholesalers, right? That would in essence be a daisy chain, right? So we're getting it from one wholesaler, the wholesaler is sending it to us, even though we're JVing, that's still in essence a daisy chain, right? Because it's seller to wholesaler to us to hedge fund. We don't want to work those because those get marketed out. And when they get marketed out on Facebook and things of that sort, it's way too easy for someone to come in and just snipe the deal, right? So we're working with a hedge fund. We send it to a hedge fund. The hedge fund agrees to our price. We go back to the wholesaler, and the wholesaler says, "Oh, it's gone." That's a big no-no for hedge funds, right? If a hedge fund gives us an offer, especially if we send a deal to a hedge fund at a certain asking price, and they say yes at that asking price, and the deal is no longer available, that's the quickest way to get blacklisted from hedge funds, right? So that's why we just don't even deal with wholesale deals. And most of the time, when you're blasting those on all the marketing channels like Facebook and to these huge buyers list, I mean, these hedge funds, they do have representatives looking around as well on Facebook, on all those platforms, right? So now all of a sudden we're sending it for more expensive than one of the representatives is pulling it in for. And it's just a bad look. We don't want to go down that route. Monica, what's the turnaround time when a hedge fund says yes to a house? So we send a property with an asking price to a hedge fund. Usually they're getting us an offer back within 24 to 48 hours. If we say, hey, that offer is good, typically they can inspect it in the next, it really depends on what hedge fund, but I'd say anywhere between the next 2 to 4 business days. Again, it just depends on how much they have going on as well. And again, we'll go over that in the next week as well. So. This might have been answered, but what other states? Yeah, so these are ones that I do focus on. They're kind of hot in this market. In those Georgia, Atlanta, around Phoenix, Texas, a few markets in Texas, Tennessee. Yeah, and I did, in the previous presentation, I did send out a buy box with all the counties for these states, right? Like, yes, they buy in cities and they buy in markets, like they buy in Dallas and San Antonio and Houston, but they really dig by putting the counties out there. That kind of gives them the more of a stretch they need to say, oh, we don't know if that's going to work because it might be too far outside of Houston, but it's in that county. Great, it works because it's in that county. So that county list is on the first presentation. Okay, Mario, to what stage in the process do you get involved or JV? Do you want us to have a preliminary convo with the agent or have a final price negotiated? So I say anywhere within the deal I can get involved. If you send an LOI to an agent and the agent comes back and is like, hey, can I talk to you about this LOI? I can definitely get involved there. Or if the agent's like, hey, that's not going to work for us, but this will work for us. So now we're moving into a negotiation stage. You can get me involved there. If you think you're getting at a good price, and you just want to say, hey, James, do you think this price will work? And I think I can get it done. I'll let you know. So it's really anywhere within the deal I can get involved. If you kind of just want to see how it works, and an agent says, hey, we might be able to work with this offer, then get me involved right away, no problem. And I think. We might be coming to an end here. I don't see really any more questions. If you could just throw one in the chat, let me know if all this information is kind of heading in the right direction for everyone, if it all makes sense, if if you like it. It's really, we're really just putting deals together right now, right? So I appreciate everyone, listening to me. I know it can be tough sometimes, but the goal here is to really get people started with some free options to get a deal done. The quickest way to get a deal done in my experience, and I've done it everything under the sun when it comes to wholesaling, is finding deals for hedge funds. They're just going to pay more than everyone, like I said previously. They can move quickly and they don't bail out of deals, right? If they say they're going to buy it, they're going to buy it. So, again, I appreciate all of your time as well. I'm glad that this is, something that people are picking up on, and my goal is to literally go step by step here. So, if any questions come up, if you're sending LOIs out, let me know if something comes back and you need some help with it. I'm always here. And you know, I appreciate you guys' time as well. And again, you know, just so you know, one last thing here. This is my email. I mean, this is literally the email I'm sending, right? So this is in the subject, picking one of these first paragraphs out. You know, if you don't buy for yourself, or if you don't feel comfortable saying that, you know, you can work this little line into the email in one of these. You could also drop these into ChatGPT and say, hey, you know, make it sound like I'm working for investors. Um, but yeah, it's the first part of the email. Um, oh, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. I was like, what's going on here? First part of the email, second part of the email right under that. And third part of the email is just putting in these stipulations. And typically, you know, I would say instead, I want to say step 8 includes stipulations. What I would say is stipulations to be included on contract. And then I would have all 9 stipulations, right? These 7 plus the other 2. And that would be right. I would put that right after this part. So it'd be the paragraph above this second in the body of the email, second part of the email, and then the third part would literally say stipulations to be on contract or to be added on contract, and would have all 9 stipulations. And at the bottom, I have my little signature that has my name, phone number, and all that good stuff. And, you know, hopefully someone gets back to us and we start working some stuff. Do I use an LOI blaster? You know, I have a little small JV team. JV team. I have a VA team, right? So they do all that stuff. Um, so yeah, I mean that's those are my LOI blasters. But I know I think and Pace has probably gone over a few that the sub 2 community uses. I've kind of been outside of the sub 2 community right now, but I believe he's maybe put some out there that everyone can use. So maybe check that out. But I think, you know, I think we're gonna wrap up here. Again, I appreciate everyone being here and you know, listening to me for the last hour or so, hour and a half. And you know, if you're finding value, please you know, I guess check out my YouTube. I'm on everything, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can kind of reach me anywhere. You have my email. Um, and hopefully if this is helping, we'll see you next week, same time, Wednesday, 2 p.m. And we'll get to the next part. So again, appreciate everybody and you know, have a good rest of your Wednesday and hopefully by next week we have some people with some LOIs that are kind of moving forward.